Good afternoon, Mr. Gordon Lake. Thank you for joining interview for my thesis, Marriage Equality for Sexual Diversity People in Thailand. May I ask your question?
Sure.
First, can you tell me your story about your family, your husband, Alvaro Carmen, and to know your family better?
Well, Manuel is my husband. We met in 2010. We met when I was living in Madrid and he was living in Valencia. They're about 400 kilometers apart. So we actually decided before we even started dating that we wanted to have kids together. You know, it was such an effort to start dating long distance. We both made sure that the other one wanted to have kids before we even started. So that was in 2010. In 2011, we decided that I would quit my job and move to Valencia, where Manuel was living. And in 2012, we got married. I got a job in Valencia, and since we knew from the very beginning we wanted to have kids, Manuel had already been looking into surrogacy before we met, so that was the way we decided that we would have kids, because we wanted to have that genetic link to the children. And in 2012, we had Alvaro through surrogacy in India. In that year, while we were actually in the process, the process to get a medical visa to do surrogacy in India changed, and it no longer allowed homosexuals to go to India. We had already looked at information on Thailand, and we knew Thailand was a great consolidated country where a lot of surrogacy was happening. There's a lot of clinics, great embryologists, great hospitals. So we decided for our second child to do surrogacy in Thailand. And we had Carmen in January 2015.
So now you have been Thailand for a year, and what is the situation in this moment?
So unfortunately, the surrogate mother, once Carmen was born and she allowed us to take Carmen home with us from the hospital, she changed her mind and is not collaborating for us to leave the country. You need two things to leave the country. You need a passport, an American passport, and you also need permission from Thai immigration. And she's not helping us with either of those issues. Carmen is a U.S. citizen. She has a consular report of birth abroad, which acknowledges that she's a U.S. citizen, but there's a rule that both parents need to sign for a passport in the United States. So because the surrogate is considered the mother under Thai law, and she's not signing for the passport, the U.S. State Department will not issue a passport. So we've been stuck in Thailand for almost a year now. We have filed a motion to have recognized legitimacy of Manuel and I as Carmen's parents, since we were the intended parents in the surrogacy that desired to have a child in the first place. The surrogate always knew that she wasn't carrying a child for herself, that she was carrying it for another family who couldn't have children. And we've been doing anything we can think of to try to look for help within Thai organizations, the Thai government, international organizations, while we were waiting to start the court proceedings.
So now you will in the many petition to Thai court. So what is the problem from Thai law that you are realizing at this moment as you are gay and you are gay parent?
There's a few problems with Thai law, unfortunately. We were recommended by our first lawyer to wait for the new surrogacy law that was being presented and was planned to pass. It did pass in February It was signed and published in May, and it went into effect on July 30th. So from January and February, when we started having problems, we couldn't actually file the motion until the surrogacy law was in effect in the end of July. And so using the surrogacy law was the recommendation of our first lawyer. It seems obvious. We had a child through surrogacy, so the temporary provisions which allow for legitimacy of the intended parents, it seems like the right law to use. The problem with the surrogacy law is that it is written in a way where it defines intended parents as a husband and wife. I understand that in the Thai language there isn't a generic gender-neutral word for parents. In English, parents means the people that raise the child. It doesn't necessarily mean a man and a woman. So unfortunately, the law is discriminatory because it wasn't worded very carefully and it says husband and wife. So we're very unsure of how the law will be applied. We aren't sure that we will be granted legitimacy because we are not a husband and wife. On the other hand, we've been recommended by other lawyers that we can use the commercial and civil and civil code, the CCC. Since I'm the genetic father, the problem with that law is that it requires the couple that had the child to cohabitate. So again, the law is behind the times because it doesn't take into account surrogacy and the medical advances that have taken place, which is understandable. But at the same time, it's again not very clear if just because of the genetic tie of being a father, I would be able to get legitimacy granted for my child.
You are true dad with a kid. Can you share your view how different of the true dad to raise a child and heterosexual? Is it same or different to raise a child in the well-being?
Well, you're talking about being parents again. Parents, a gender-neutral word, which doesn't need to be a man and a woman. And it actually, in many cases, for many children, it could be a parent. And a parent could be a single man, it could be a single woman. The question there really is, what is a parent? And a parent is a person that loves a child. A parent nurtures a child. A parent teaches a child. It teaches a child values. It teaches a child how to talk, the difference between right and wrong, how to do things, how to tie their shoe, how to build a kite. A parent, it doesn't matter what the gender of a parent is, because every person, every human being is different. What every human being as a parent would bring to parenting and what they can show that child and teach that child is different. So there's not just a difference because you're a man or a woman, but everyone's different and has different things to share to bring up a child. And that's the beautiful thing about parenting, is that there's no one way to do it. There's no right way to parent or to be a parent. You just want to bring your child up to be happy and to be well-mannered and to be honest and to have honor and to learn to do things and to learn about the world. So it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, or if you're a heterosexual, or if you're a homosexual, or if you're two men or two women. I mean, being a parent is about doing the best you can for the child.
May I ask about the marriage equality? If the word marriage equality, how important for yourself as a gay couple, and maybe you know some Thai LGBT couple. How important for this word marriage for you?
No, I'm very lucky because when it came the time that I was ready and had met the right person to marry, I was living in Spain, and marriage is defined as a union of two people, of a man and a woman, of two women, or of two men. So gay marriage was allowed already. So in that sense, I was lucky that it didn't affect me before that, but it did affect me in the sense of being a gay man, because if you are not, as a person, allowed to marry, allowed to do just a very basic human desire is to have a bond and a union and a commitment. Marriage is about commitment. So I was very lucky that when it came time for me, I was able to get married. I don't think, many places have civil unions or other types of permutations of marriage, but they're not marriage. They make it, by not having just regular marriage, it makes gay people second-class citizens because they're not getting the same rights that heterosexual couples have. It could be a first step. I don't know if it's a good first step personally, because it's kind of going around the issue, and the issue is equality for homosexuals, and the issue is that while maybe it's easier for a civil union law to be passed, it's not giving full rights to gay people. And marriage is a really important institution. It's a very important right, because there's a social part of it which makes gay people equal to heterosexual people, but there's a lot of protection in marriage as well. And unfortunately, a lot of that protection is if your partner is in a car accident and in the hospital, that you have full access to see your partner and being with your partner. If your partner passes away, to have the rights any other couple would have to a pension or Social Security. And just the security, like marriage is security, especially if you have children. Manuel and I now have 2 children, and I can tell you from my personal experience, Alvaro was born in India, and genetically, Manuel is the biological father of Alvaro. So there was a period in time between bringing Alvaro home from India and me legally adopting Alvaro. I was allowed to legally adopt Alvaro because my marriage with Manuel was legal. If that marriage wasn't legal, I wouldn't have been able to legally adopt Alvaro. And Alvaro's my son. Alvaro's just as much my son as he is Manuel's son. I love him. I care for him. So the equality of marriage on the social side, but also on the administrative, the legal, the right side is very important as well, because it gives you security and it gives you acknowledgement in society that you're equal like anyone else.
Okay, we come to the last question. Now Thai state is going to draft a law to protect the LGBT couple. They are drafting Thai civil partnership law and not start for civil marriage yet. What should you like to recommend, if you can, to Thai state that by your experience or your view to about this issue in Thailand?
I already hinted at it a little bit. I'm not a lawyer. and I especially don't know the Thai legal system that well. I'm starting to learn a little bit, unfortunately. But it's, like I said before, approving a civil partnership law, it's a step. I don't know if that's a good step or a bad step, because it does achieve rights for homosexuals, but it doesn't treat homosexuals as equals. And I mean, especially in our case, I think we've been really happy that we've been able to show Thailand that it doesn't matter if you're a man and a woman or if you're two men, because we've shown Thailand that being two men can be a loving, beautiful parent family relationship, and it's no different from a heterosexual relationship. So it seems to me, and again it's hard because I'm from a different culture where, you know, in the United States civil partnerships were starting to be passed many years ago, and I don't know if it's a step in the right direction or not. I mean, what's really is needed is full equality. A marriage law that recognizes a marriage between two people, whether it's a man and a woman, or two men.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your great answer.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.